Quotes that you live by?
Quotes that I live by. Equity comes, equity goes, but the cash will always flow. To me, that means I don't care about the value of my asset. I care about the cash flow that I'm receiving on that asset because I never intend to sell. Additionally, one that doesn't exactly apply to real estate, but sort of the mental health of an entrepreneur and the crazy ups and downs that we go through. All feelings are visitors. I heard that in a meditation the other day, and it stuck with me.
How you doing?
Hey, bud, you're looking sharp, man.
You're looking sharp, man.
I didn't realize that part of the requirement of being a successful real estate investor was being a model.
Well, see, here's the thing. Anytime I'm doing a presentation at Oregon State University, it is a requirement for me to show up in business casual at least, meaning at least a blazer, no tie. But the same goes for my YouTube videos. The same goes for when I went on Jerry Norton, and same goes for this one.
Okay, cool. All right. So one more time, you guys, if you're on Facebook and you're watching us live, thank you. I appreciate it. I see some people doing it already. Can I just get you to comment that you can hear us okay? Give us a thumbs up. And let's do a quick run through of some questions just until we get into the meat of potatoes. I like doing that. So for those of you who don't know, just to give people an opportunity to log in and to get on the call, what I do is I have a quick run through of some questions that I borrowed from a tribe of mentors. So Richard, I'm going to ask you a couple questions while we let people hop on, and then we'll get into the actual meat and potatoes of how you're doing what you're doing. All right.
Absolutely. And let me set up this. I just want to get the camera straight. I want to make sure everybody has a really good view.
All right, ready? Okay.
Yeah. Can you see me
Real
all right?
quick. Yeah, you look good.
Lighting good?
I'm going to have to ask all the other participants to mute themselves out because I'm hearing like cartoon effects in the background.
Yes.
It's like Acme. All right. From Roger Rabbit. What are 1 to 3 books that you've given out as gifts, or 1 to 3 books that have influenced you in your business and or life?
I cannot say that I have given out too many gifts in terms of books, but I have a number that I really, really enjoy. 1, 48 Laws of Power. That has entirely transformed the way I think and interact with my peers, people who are superior to me, and honestly, anybody who comes into my life. The 4-hour work week is all about how to outsource your time. The third, well, honestly, this one's difficult because Rich Dad, Poor Dad, amazing, but Think and Grow Rich. I'm gonna have to go with Think and Grow Rich for the third one, but the 4-hour work week, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, have to include that one in there. And one that I've enjoyed that's separate from that is American Psycho. Really liked American Psycho.
Cool. All great selections. All right. What's a purchase of $100 or less that has impacted, again, your personal life or your business?
Purchase of $100 or less. Can it be a subscription?
Yeah, absolutely.
PropStream.
PropStream. Cool.
PropStream is $100 every single month, and I couldn't do what I do without it.
Fantastic. Okay. Failures. Talk to me a little bit about what failures you've had to overcome and how they've impacted your business. What's your favorite failure?
My favorite failure is Amazon dropshipping. So I started dropshipping on Amazon in 2019. It occurred to me that that was going to be the best way to build wealth. However, that was a huge, huge mistake, but also a learning opportunity. So Amazon dropshipping, that lasted for about 2 years. We did about $700,000 in revenue on Amazon. However, that was not profit. Those were just sales. In fact, we were losing money on a lot of the products that we sold, which were largely household and pet items. And in 2021 or late 2020, early 2021, I was $45,000 in debt as a college student when I discovered wholesaling real estate.
Okay, so I'm hearing some background noise and I'm trying to figure out who that is. Thank you for muting yourself out. Okay, cool. All right, if you had a billboard and you could put it anywhere in the world, right? It had all the traffic and you had millions of people driving by and seeing it, what would that billboard say and why?
That billboard would say, I buy ugly houses and I pay over list price for them. And the reason it would say that is because it's true. We buy ugly houses and we pay over list price, over asking price, over what those houses are worth on a weekly basis.
Cool. All right. What is one of the best or worthwhile investments that you've ever made?
Wow. Best investment. Well, I can tell you that I pulled out everything from my IRA to put it into real estate marketing. So the only investments that I make right now are into my actual company. And we are intending to purchase real estate in Puerto Rico in 2023. But my investments have been liquidated to pursue real estate investing. So I had money. I had about $10,000 in my IRA, and I had a penalty for pulling that out early, but it was 100% worth it. I needed to get the YouTube channel started. I needed to get Hold My Hand Wholesale started, and I needed to expand within my own company. So I would say it's the tools and the employees and the time investments, specifically with my mentorship students who bring me deals, that have yielded the most for me.
Cool. Quotes that you live by?
Quotes that I live by. Equity comes, equity goes, but the cash will always flow. To me, that means I don't care about the value of my asset. I care about the cash flow that I'm receiving on that asset, because I never intend to sell. Additionally, one that doesn't exactly apply to real estate, but sort of the mental health of an entrepreneur and the crazy ups and downs that we go through. All feelings are visitors. I heard that in a meditation the other day, and it stuck with her. It's happiness, depression, anxiety in this current moment is a visitor, and it will pass.
21 years old saying something like that, man. Where do you get off doing that? That was
on
deep.
The show.
That was very, very deep. I don't know if I was as eloquent as you are at 21 years old, man. That was an amazing answer. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. All right, unusual habit or absurd thing that you love or do that you're not embarrassed to share. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm passionate about bodybuilding. I'm also very passionate about yoga and meditation. I wouldn't call those unusual or absurd, but those are some things that consume my life outside of real estate. Specifically yoga. In the past year, I've been fascinated with the practice and just sort of freeing your mind from the stress and anxiety that we feel on a daily basis, running a company, through breath work, yoga, meditation, and spirituality overall.
Great. Okay, last one. So what do you tell someone who is, now you're in college, and so normally what I ask people is, who is leaving college to go into the workforce, what advice would you give them? So I guess my question is, what your peers right now, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are asking you, like, what is it, what are you doing and how are you doing it? What advice would you give to them for somebody who'd want to get started?
Okay, so college student, you're 17, 18 years old, you've just got into a state school, you're starting college. What should you do? I think that the first thing that you need to do is separate the idea of your career from your education. So education is super important, and that's why I haven't dropped out of college yet. It's because it makes me a more well-rounded person, and it makes me understand the world around me as well. But I do not believe that your career needs to be tied to your education. For example, I'm a business administration major. If I were to go into a career related to business administration, I would be making about $50,000 a year statistically in my first year. And maybe in my second year, I do $52,000, but I have a very clear ladder and progression plan for how much I'm going to be making throughout my life if I were to be getting a job after college. So I think the very first thing that you need to do is separate your idea of a job and your major. Take the easiest major possible, because there will be prerequisites to that major, which make you a more well-rounded person, and then start failing. So school, get that degree, get your okay grades. I have like a 3.0 GPA, but it's because I don't try particularly hard in my business efforts in school, because I'm working really hard on them outside of school. So fail as many times as possible while taking the easiest major that you can. There are 5 million business majors created every single year in the United States. You're not setting yourself apart. I don't care if you're on the dean's list. I don't care if you have these amazing accolades associated with your education. You need to fail as many times as possible before you graduate college. So I failed 2 times in college in business before I found out something that worked. So I think that the absolute most important thing for you to do is go really light on your workload. Pay attention to it, soak in the information, but don't stress over it. Stress over the business that you are trying to build in college, specifically real estate, and don't be afraid to fail. Many of us have support systems in college, whether that's our parents paying for our rent, for our food, or whether that's student loan assistance, whether the government is sort of keeping you afloat in college. So now is an excellent transitional time in your life to fail as much as you possibly can.
Cool. Okay. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Now, I know that you're coaching. I know that you're teaching other people how to do this. I know that you also have a team. So let's just for a second, let's just separate that, okay? Let's just talk about what it's like. You're brand new. You just learned about this. Now, I also know that you've gone to many masterminds. You invest in yourself, and you have some amazing coaches and some amazing mentors. I know this. So walk me back to when you just learned about wholesaling, creative. Let's go back to that phase, and then tell me how you got started, and then we're going to slowly ramp it up, and we'll talk a little bit more about your team in a little bit. So day one, you learned about wholesaling. What happened next?
Okay, so I want to give you guys the whole picture. I'm sitting in a single story duplex. I lived in a duplex in 2020. It was very small. My room was about 200 square feet, tiny. And I was sitting in my room and a YouTube video popped up. The YouTube video was by a creator named Kong, Wholesale to Millions. He's this very let's go get that money. That's right. He's this very abrasive, aggressive, look, man, if you can't make it work, this business is not right for you type of creator. And that was a time in my life where I was $45,000 in debt from dropshipping on Amazon. And I needed that aggressive voice to sort of push me in the right direction.
So you see the video, you see Kang, you see King Kang, and you decide I'm going to start wholesaling. So what was the next step?
Yeah, so I listened to everything that Kong had, and I actually went on his show. I dialed into his show and we did a cold call role play. You can find that cold call role play sometime during June 2021 on the Kong Wholesale the Million show, and he destroyed me. He ripped me a new one. He criticized my negotiation, told me everything that I was doing wrong. And I continued to consume information. I continued to learn and learn and learn. And I probably studied for about 2 weeks before I started taking action. And at the time, I was also very heavily listening to Jerry Norton. So I was listening to the Jerry Norton Watch Me Wholesale show and the Wholesale the Million show with Kong. And I would say after about 2 weeks of education and studying, I started calling some realtors in my area. And then I quickly learned, okay, Oregon, not the best place to wholesale real estate, which is when I moved to Cleveland, Ohio. And over the span of about 3 or 4 months wholesaling in Cleveland, Ohio, I made about $70,000 and I got myself out of debt and I started to expand my team.
Okay, so we're not going to go to the team yet. First deal, how did you get that first deal? How much was it? How much did you purchase it for? What did you dispo for it? And what was the spread?
I actually have the HUD. Would you like me to get it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? No, I think we've had enough. I'd like to see it, and I think we can share it. But I think it's because there's been so many distractions. Let's just walk me through like the numbers, how you got it, how you made the call, all of that stuff.
Yes. So this was FSBO on Zillow in Cleveland, Ohio. It was a property listed for $55,000. I got it under contract at $49,000, and I assigned it for $51,750. So I made $2,750 off of a for sale by owner lead that I found on Zillow.
Okay, that was your first one.
That was the first one I ever did.
All right, cool. Now you're doing this from Oregon. You called them, you locked up the deal. Did you do DocuSign or what did you do?
I did do DocuSign. So at the time, I wasn't even paying for a DocuSign account. I had the free version that gives you
Yeah.
5 cents. You guys don't even need to pay for it. You could start today. And I sent him over a purchase and sale agreement that I downloaded from Jerry Norton's YouTube channel. We also offer our own now. And I had him sign the contract. And then I proceeded to post that deal on Facebook. I posted it everywhere and started responding to direct messages for people who were interested in it, which is when I came across one of the largest buyers and fix and flippers in Cleveland, Ohio, Kelly Stumphauser. And I started selling deals to Kelly and her team, which is Guardian City Investments.
Got it. Okay. So when you say I put it on Facebook, and I'm really deep diving in here because I want the value to come out of this. So you don't just share it on Facebook. Were you sharing it on Facebook groups? Were you putting it on Marketplace? Were you putting it on multiple groups? Now, I also know that back in 21, it was a little bit of a different market, right? It was a little different. Market was accelerating. So, I mean, you put something on Marketplace in terms of real estate, it's going to sell faster than I think it would now. But where were you marketing it? How did you market it? How did you get photos of it? Walk me through that process.
Okay, so there is a program by Adobe. I forget the name of this specific program, but it's like Adobe Flash or something. And what it does is it allows you to create a moving slideshow that you can post in Facebook. So I took pictures of the property and I posted the pictures within this little Adobe program.
Yeah, it's like Canva. Now it's called Express, but it's still available. It's their version of Canva.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it made this little slideshow for me. And on the slideshow, I had the property information pop up, like 3 beds, 2 baths, square footage. I showed the comps. I had pictures of those comps and statistics as to when they sold and where they were in proximity to the property that I had under contract. And I posted that all over Facebook, not just in Facebook groups, but also on Facebook Marketplace. And I started taking calls with investors. And I remember walking through the mall. I was just walking through the mall with my family on Thanksgiving, I believe. And I got a call from an investor, and it was an intern for Guardian City Investments. And they gave me a call, said that they were interested in it. And we negotiated terms. They wanted me to pay a little bit of the closing costs out of my assignment fee. So we did that, and the deal closed. Super easy. Money just arrived in the mail.
Cool. Okay, so now you've made contact with Guardian. When did you discover, okay, I've got a buyer here. Now I've got a group of investors that are purchasing. I'd like to, I really want to start bringing them more opportunities. When did that click? And then you decided, okay, I think what I'll do is I'll just start focusing on that area now. When did that happen? How did you realize it? And then how were you getting them more deals? How were you feeding them and keeping yourself busy?
So I was just a one-man show at that time. I didn't have a virtual assistant. I didn't really know what a virtual assistant was, especially the type of virtual assistants that I have now. Didn't have acquisitions manager or disposition. I was wearing all of the hats. Yep. So the reason that I started in Cleveland was because of the low price point. As you know, the lower the price point, the bigger the buyer pool is. So I figured it was a really good starter market for me. So I started doing deals there, and I was getting some pretty good responses from the investors within the Cleveland, Ohio market. I sought to provide properties to Guardian City Investments, but I only ended up selling 2 deals to them.
Oh, wow.
I found another buyer. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I said, oh, wow is what I said.
So I only sold 2 deals to them. I sold that first one, and then I sold a duplex to them. That one, I actually remember the address, 1851 West 58th Street. I got that one under contract for like $155, and then ended up selling that for $13,000 more. So I did 2 deals with them very quickly, totaling around $15,000, $16,000. And then I started finding some smaller fix and flip buyers, and I honestly sold some bad deals to them. Of course, I did not know that they were bad deals, but I watched the fix and flip process happen from the contract that I acquired. And these guys flipped the house, and it's actually still on the market today. If you want to go check that out, the first property that I made big bucks on, $15,000, was 1517 Robinwood Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. That's sort of a nice suburb of Cleveland. The house was built in 1901, had a lot more issues than they anticipated. They just signed the paper, gave me my $15,000 assignment fee, and we moved on to the next one. but unfortunately the market dropped right after they finished the rehab.
I think,
the house.
I mean, if it could happen to billion-dollar companies like Zillow and Open Door and Redfin, then there's no reason that it can't happen to the traditional investor. It's just part of the business. There's nothing that we can do about that, right? I mean, we've had to lick some of our own wounds, and as you build your portfolio, I'm sure you're going to lick some of your own wounds as well. It's just part of the process. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Failure is necessary for success.
Okay, so you've done some deals, you've wholesaled them, you found some end buyers. At what point did you now start to say, okay, I'm going to need some help here? How many deals were you doing a month where you decided, I have to start bringing some help here because this is starting to get a little time consuming?
So it wasn't like that at all to start. There was never a time issue. I was still more focused on school than I was in real estate. And I was spending probably anywhere from 5 to 10 hours a week calling FSBO listings. And it didn't occur to me that I needed help or I needed a team or payroll or anything like that. It just sort of fell into place. So in marketing my deals on Facebook, I found a guy named Dale. Dale is a virtual assistant in the Philippines who speaks English as well as you or I. And he created a marketing system for me. And the marketing system came with a virtual assistant. The virtual assistant's name was Kurt. He's still with us. He's now our lead acquisitions virtual assistant. And I did not think that I needed marketing. I just simply wanted to expand. I saw this as a way to expand, and we started sending out 1,000 off-market text blasts per day.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who are listening, you see FSBO or FSBO, that stands for sale by owner. So Richard is attacking the for sale by owner market, making offers, locking them up. Then you hire a virtual assistant. How many hours was it? 5 to 10 hours a week.
So I was doing 5 to 10 hours a week calling FSBOs, and that got me all the way up to $40,000 profit in a single month. In January of 2022, we did $40,000 just off of FSBO deals.
2022 for sale by owners. Awesome. Okay. So for sale by owners now, and where are you getting these for sale by owners lists? Because I want everybody to know, I mean, this is duplicatable. So where were you finding these lists?
So the for sale by owner is super easy to find. All you need to do is go on Zillow. When you're on Zillow, to the right, you're going to see a list of properties. To the left, you're going to see a map with a ton of either yellow or red dots, depending on if it's for sale or sold, or purple if it's for rent. But on the right side, you'll notice the list of properties. There's 2 houses. They just keep going down. But above that list, you'll see that there is a on-market and an off-market listings, but they don't call it off-market listings. They call it other. So if you click on the other tab on Zillow, you'll notice that you have properties for sale with no real estate agent, just the owner marketing it themselves. They tend to be on the market for a long period of time before they sell.
Perfect. All right. Now, you hire a virtual assistant to help you with the marketing, and you're sending out about 1,000 text messages a day. What platform? Well, let's not talk about what platform you were using then. Let's talk about SMS marketing because you brought it up. What platform are you using now to send out your outbound messages?
Yeah, great question. So I use Launch Control. Launch Control is an amazing text blasting platform, and I pull my lists from ListSource. However, I used to pull them from PropStream.
Okay, so you use Launch Control to send out text messages, and then you use ListSource to get your lists, right?
That's correct. And then we also have a CRM that is integrated with our text blasting. So you can text from the CRM, which integrates into LaunchPass, and that's called SalesMate.
Cool. All right. Okay, so now you get your lists. What is your favorite list to market to?
Well, that's a great question. What sort of market? This market or an up market?
Current market, right? What's working right now in this market?
So what's working right now in this market are tailor method deals, which do not require us to pull a list, and creative deals, which also do not require us to pull a list. In fact, my text blasting is being dominated by my referral database. That means people who are sending me leads, inclusive of real estate agents we've done deals with, people who see me on social media, and members of my Discord group hold my hand wholesale. So the list that I would recommend pulling if you had to pull a list, because I don't recommend pulling lists in this market right now, would be an unknown equity list. An unknown equity list is a list that nobody else is talking about. So when you talk to people who are wholesaling, they say, well, you need a probate list, you need a tax delinquent list, you need a liens list, you need a water shutoff list. Well, everybody's hitting those. So I like the unknown equity list, and the unknown equity list could mean we just don't know how much of their property that they own. And the only reason that I recommend that is because your competition is super low compared to all the other lists that a lot of creators are promoting right now.
Got it. Okay. So I'm slowly working my way up to the Taylor method and the creative, right? We're getting there. All right. So you send out your text messages. You've got the virtual assistant. At this point, it's just you and your virtual assistant. When does the team start to grow? When did you start to bring other people on? And when did you figure out, okay, so right now I'm the only one doing acquisitions. I'm sending out SMS messages, people respond, and then I try to lock up the deal, or I'm going to for sale by owners. I'm making them offers, they're accepting it. You were doing disposition by yourself, right? At that point still, it's just you acquisition, disposition, or was your virtual assistant helping you with that?
We still do not have a dispositions virtual assistant, but we do have a dispositions manager. My virtual assistants at the time were twofold. I had one on tech, one who actually sent out the text blast. Actually, there were three, one behind the scenes as well. Somebody who sent out the text blast, meaning like literally clicking send, 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 send. One who responded to the text blast, and then one who managed those two people. So I had three virtual assistants to start, costing me about $390 per week.
For all three?
For all three, they were located in the Philippines. Their names are Kurt, Vince, and Dale. Kurt, Vince, and Dale cost me a total of $390 per week.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, so they're doing that. You're sending out deals. They're helping you lock up those deals. Then you're slowly starting to build your team. When did that kick in?
So the team stayed that size, about 4 people, me and 3 virtual assistants, until I want to say May of 2022. In May of 2022, I started creating content, and the content yielded connections. Like you were a great connection that I made from creating content, but I also met one of Mr. Beast's, yes, the Mr. Beast's editors. And this guy was doing videos with Mr. Beast, editing for Mr. Beast. And I was like, wow, this guy is really, really capable. And he approached me and he said, look, I will edit your content and your videos in exchange for education on real estate. And we started working together. I would send him videos, he would edit them, and the videos started doing very, very well. I posted a video with his editing called Watch Me Wholesale Houses on Zillow. And that video currently has 1,700 hours of watch time. That's months and months of watch time. And he was doing a killer job editing. And I said, look, man, you want to get into wholesale? How about instead of editing for me, you become my business partner and my dispositions manager? Because there was a bottleneck. The bottleneck was I can do about 4 deals per month myself, acquisitions and dispositions. But as soon as the acquisition stops, the dispositions starts. And that's my bottleneck. I need to continually acquire while you continually sell my deals for me, which is when I brought Chris Gallagher on the team. Chris Gallagher is an amazing asset in terms of streamlining, creating passive income, and creating standard operating procedures within the company that help us stick to our designated roles.
Okay, cool. Now you're talking about an actual business model, right? And before I get into that, let's talk about the content that you started creating. So that's another thing that I think people don't realize how important it is, because a lot of times people want to be very quiet or secretive about what they're doing, about the fact that they're working in the industry, about the fact that they're going out there and they're getting properties under contract and then they're selling them. So what kind of content were you creating? And how often were you creating it, and where were you sharing it, and what were you let's say somebody decides, okay, I can find an editor. What were you doing? Were you uploading it to the cloud? I'm going to go into other questions. So let's just go back to the beginning. Content. What type of content were you creating? How often were you creating it, and how were you filming yourself?
So I was filming myself using a computer to start, and it was super, super blurry. You'll see in my Jerry Norton interview, extremely blurry content. And it was embarrassing to start. Honestly, what I was putting out was embarrassing to start. And the type of content that I was initially creating was, what is wholesaling real estate? How can I get started in wholesaling real estate? And I did a combination of skits and videos where you see this background. This background is what we have in almost all of our YouTube videos that are long form. But I started doing skits where I would wear a wig. I would knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I'm looking to purchase your property. Would you consider selling for this amount? And I would go through the entire wholesale process, just role playing with myself. You know, I was standing outside of my house, wearing a wig, posing as a wholesaler, going door to door. And then I would open the door and take off the wig and play a different character, being the seller. And I would go through a mock negotiation, and then I would have a fake phone call with a buyer. And I would go through the entire process of assigning the deal, as I normally would. And that content transitioned into 4 to 5 TikTok videos a day that we recycle on YouTube every single day. In addition to some long form content. So we were filming long form content as well. That's still coming out. And yeah, so it's a combination of long form, short form, and that's recycled on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram Reels. We may add some more in the future.
And that's you walking people through the process, right?
Yeah, so it used to be walking through the process. Now it's more
you sharing. Now it's you sharing the deals. Now it's you really saying, hey, we just wrapped this one up. You know, I think I saw one with the HUD.
Yeah,
am I right?
Yeah. So
you're showing HUDs. You're saying, look, here's how we did it.
Exactly. So we're showing the deals. We're doing deal breakdowns, and I've always done the deal breakdowns. But we're also answering more niche questions. So today I just filmed a video about how you can present an offer to a portfolio and how you can get that offer seen. So it's more advanced wholesaling information now, but I do find that the more basic content, like how to wholesale houses on Zillow, is what really goes viral. So we may be making a transition back to that shortly.
Okay. All right. So these days, now let's talk about what you're up to. I know initially when you and I talked, we were talking about the hedge funds. And I know that does seem to be drying up a little bit. And I know that you're still selling to hedge funds. But when we talked last week, you said you were more excited about the creative stuff. So let's talk about that for a little bit. I'm going to open it up for questions. So if there's anybody that has questions, if you're on Facebook, feel free to start posting those questions now. And if you're in the chat, you can share those questions now. But let's go over creative really, really quick and how it is that you're able to pay over list price for a property if it's on the market. Are you doing creatives with FSBOs too, or are you just going after Zillows? Or walk me through the creative method and what you guys are doing right now.
Yes, so most of our creative deals come from our mentorship students in our Discord, Hold My Hand Wholesale. And we have lots and lots of people sending us creative deals. We go live every single week, just like this, and explain to them how they can get their creative deals. We're trying to build the next sub-2 group with Pace Morby. And almost all of my deals come from the Discord group now. Our acquisitions, we're sort of revamping that to create more in-house deals. But yeah, they mainly come from Discord. Creative finance is the process of financing a property with the actual owner rather than going out and obtaining traditional financing for the house.
Okay, so it sounds like, and this is great for everybody to hear. It sounds like what you did was you said, okay, I can build an audience, which eventually becomes the team, and then the team refers over deals, and then we all make money together. Yeah,
that is exactly right. And it's more for the audience than it is for me. Guys, we have all your buyers, we have all the contracts, the strategies, and we give you the majority of the profit. That's what sets us apart from a dispositions company like Keegley. We give you 60% of anything that we bring you or anything that you bring us, and we make it super, super basic for you to actually lock up the contract.
That was a good plug. All right. That was your cue to laugh, Richard. Anyway, okay, so the deal, the team is bringing you deals. You use Discord, right? And again, look, I'm a little bit older than you. And so I'm just getting into Discord. I know that people like that. If people want to take a look at your Discord channel, what is it?
The Discord channel is Hold My Hand Wholesale, and instead of looking that up on Discord, just find my TikTok, Hold My Hand Wholesale. It's the link in the bio.
Okay, cool. All right. So walk me through your most recent creative deal and how you guys got it and what you guys closed on it. And I think you shared with some of us last Friday, but if that was your most recent, or if you guys have wrapped up another one, it's been a couple of days. I don't know, maybe you've closed another one. We'll give some people some of the numbers.
So we have a property right now in Memphis that we assigned to Jonathan Newsom, who's a sub-2 leader. And that one is closing tomorrow. So I can talk about that one.
Let's do it.
I could. Okay, perfect. So we did a $20,000 one that you know about already. That closed about 2 weeks ago. This one in Memphis is really, really cool. So this was listed for $199,000 FSBO. One of my Discord members gave me a call, asked me about the property. I told him the numbers that he could pitch, and he proceeded to pitch the numbers to the seller. So it was listed at $199, had been sitting on the market for over 100 days, meaning everybody had seen it and everybody had neglected it. They weren't interested. And I offered $250,000 for the property. So how can you miss if you're offering 51K above list price? You can't. At least you can't with the seller. The seller's got to say yes, no matter what it is. And the caveat to that was that we only put down 7K. So I said, look, man, I'll do 250K, even though your house is literally worth 170K. So it was listed at 199, but it wasn't selling. It wasn't worth that. It was worth about 170. So we're currently $80,000 above what his house is worth right now. And we said, so here's the caveat, 7K down right now, 7-year balloon, meaning the full amount is due in 7 years with a 2% interest rate. So we only had to put in 7K to actually get the property and to get control over the title. So put down 7K and you pay the seller $1,000 per month. Now the house rents out for $1,750 a month. Usually you'd want to give them a lot less per month in the monthly payment, but we're giving them $1,000 per month because we're putting such a small amount down. So we think about this as we're purchasing cash flow. So if we're purchasing cash flow, well, how much cash flow can we purchase for our down payment? Because we're only getting a couple $100s of net, not gross, net cash flow in this scenario, we put down 7K. We then went to our end buyer, Jonathan Newsom, and we said, look, man, 15K down and this is yours. And he signed right then and right there. So that's $8,000 in the bag. We keep only 40% of that. We only take 40% of it, and the rest of it goes to the Discord student who keeps 60% of it. Now, whoever does the most amount of deals with me every single month in our Discord, we buy them a brand new iPhone 13. So we just purchased an iPhone 13 for Isaac last month, who also did a sub-2 deal with us, totaling $20,000 in revenue.
That's awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to do a real quick explanation as to why you did that. So somebody's thinking to themselves, why is someone going to pay 250 when the house is worth 175? Because the presumption is, as the real estate market, is cyclical, as it eventually, we're in the valley right now, it starts to go up. We're banking on the notion that 7 years from now, the property is going to be worth the $250,000 that you guys are purchasing it at. Yeah, that's what we're banking on. You said that it was rented out for 1,700.
It was not rented out. It was vacant, no tenant in the property, and it rents out for $1,700 a month.
And his payment is $1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the net was really low. The reason the net is really low, because you've got taxes, you've got insurance, you may have property management. If I don't know how Jonathan is purchasing it, but you've got property management, and then you also have your emergency 911 money. By the time you subtract all that, the net was how much?
It's a couple $100. It's about $300. So
right.
You can take it as 25% off the top for CapEx, maintenance, management, vacancy, lodging tax if you're in an Airbnb. But 25% of the gross rent, what you charge for rent, is automatically going to come off the top for most real estate investors when they're adding it to their portfolio.
Right. And that's for the people that are asking, well, if it's renting out for 1,700 and then I'm making $700 profit, and that's not always the case. That's not always why it works, which is why you were able to negotiate the $7,000 down. Then you put your fee on top, the 8,000, so it's $15,000 down to the end investor. This sounded like it was a great buy and hold property for them to add to their portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, it was renovated too. So they just got a renovated property in Memphis.
Awesome. That's awesome.
15K, just 15K. Yeah. So you guys can easily start acquiring.
Right.
You don't have to go the conventional route with 6 to 7% interest rates and 20% down plus, depending on your experience.
Now, have you had any investors that are looking to purchase, they purchase it, and let's say it's not a couple $100 profit, but they're breaking even. Do you have anybody that's investors that are buying it and they're like, okay, so we're not making a profit, it's just a break even, we're just adding it to the portfolio just for a long-term buy and hold play? You got any of those type of buyers, or is everybody, you know, they want to see some type of a profit?
No, we don't sell deals that don't cash flow. Everybody wants to see some sort of profit. The minimum is $300 of net cash flow per month after expenses are taken out, which this one had hit.
Cool. All right. Okay. It's 11:17. I'm taking a look real quick at the comments and the questions. All right. So I got you till about 11:30. You want to kind of go over what you've created, which is the Taylor method, and explain how that works, or was that part of the creative?
No, I'm happy to talk about the Taylor method or creative. Taylor method is entirely separate from creative finance, and
cool. Let's
it's
talk
actually
about it.
not even wholesale anymore. The Taylor method is flipping. So we flip houses and we do micro flips on them. So turn and burn really, really, really quick. And we do it through a method called double closing. So I have obtained $19 million in funding to double close deals. So we can double close virtually any deal that comes across our table. But here's where the Taylor method comes into play. You have hedge funds, huge hedge funds in the United States that really own everything. Hedge funds, they're not just acquiring real estate. Usually it's a sliver of a division. Actually, the closest grocery store to me right now is Fred Meyer, for those of you who are in the West Coast. Fred Meyer is also Tricon Investments. We sell tons of deals to Tricon. So all of these companies own each other. The United States is controlled by like 10 different companies, and they have billions of dollars under their control. Now, the problem is those guys are not purchasing on-market deals, but there are a lot of on-market deals that fit their criteria. So it's kind of difficult. There's a disconnect between billions of dollars in corporations and properties that are just sitting that they would purchase, but they're on market. So I thought to myself, well, if I can figure out how to turn these on-market properties into off-market properties, I can tap into the billions of dollars that United States hedge funds have. Actually, probably trillions cumulatively. So these guys are purchasing properties on market that are actually off market. And the way that we do that is by converting on-market deals into off-market deals. Now, I'm not going to reveal how I do this because it's a trade secret, but this is what we're doing. We have a script and a set of words in place that convince the agent to take the property off market, entirely hide it, and then we purchase it ourselves with our double close funding, which you guys get access to in my Discord, and then we immediately sell that to a hedge fund. And we just did one of these 2 weeks ago. A lot of people think hedge funds are not purchasing anymore. Well, I have HUD statements to back that up. Hedge funds are purchasing. $10,000 assignment fee from $240,000 to $250,000. We sold the property 10 Creekview Court, Atlanta, Georgia. You can go look it up on PropStream, but we sold that property to a hedge fund and used the Taylor method to do it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I know what people are thinking. Number one, they're thinking, well, how did you get the $90 million in funding? I think that's going to be another video. Unfortunately, otherwise we'll be on here much longer. Then the second question is, how did you come into contact with these hedge funds? So you were talking about Tricon, then there's Blackstone, there's a whole bunch of other hedge funds out there. How did you work your way in there? How did you make contact? I mean, I just read an article, I think that Chase is going to go into buying residential properties now too. So they have a fund that they're setting aside so that they can go into. When I say residential, I don't necessarily mean single family homes. I mean, they want to buy projects as well. But my point is how do we get a hold of someone at a hedge fund? What tools were you using? Did you use LinkedIn? Were you reaching out to them that way? Any advice to somebody that wants to do the same thing?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. You can email a deal to a hedge fund, but how many people do you think are emailing deals to hedge funds?
Yep.
Thousands every single day. And it becomes very difficult to get a response from them. So when I started out trying to sell to hedge funds, I couldn't sell to them because I wasn't a vendor. And the way that you become a vendor is by providing a lot of properties. So we send hedge funds upwards of 200 houses per month, and that's not possible alone. You cannot do it alone. It is just physically impossible. And we actually have non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, with 4 out of the 6 hedge funds that we are doing, which has made Grandin Taylor Properties, my company, an official vendor of these major hedge funds in the United States. And that means that we are prioritized. So when we send deals to our hedge fund representatives, we have the top representatives, we're prioritized, and we're updated on changing company criteria. So they send us emails and they let us know, hey, our criteria has changed. And they will not let your average individual know about that. So you may be searching for a criteria that's entirely out of date and you don't have a connection at the hedge fund or somebody who's responsive, because you can find people who work there. It's just finding somebody who's responsive, because remember, we have an inspection period that we have to sell the deal in, and we can't have that inspection period too long. So through my Discord, we have publicized these hedge funds, not their names, not their contact information, but we've put together a calculator that allows you to sort through their criteria and filter through their criteria to find on-market deals that you can convert into off-market deals. And then we will pay for you to purchase the property and then immediately flip it to a hedge fund. And the cool thing about this is you actually buy the house. It goes down in your name. So if a lender ever asks you, well, hey, have you ever made a purchase before? Well, look at this. We just paid for you to purchase your first house. And this is what we call the Taylor method.
Got it. So you're an interim lender, right? To the person that brings the deal, the student or the wholesaler that brings it to you, and they're purchasing it in their name. They lock the deal up. You help with the interim funding. They do a close, and then you do a double close you close a day or two later to the hedge fund.
It actually closes within the same day to the hedge fund.
Okay.
I cannot take credit for the funds that we have available. What happened was it was again through social media, and this is why I'm such a big advocate of posting, but I made a connection with a guy in tech. The guy in tech has $19 million liquid. And we now have a brand deal with the guy where we get 1%, 1 point charged on the actual purchase price to double close it. So if it's a $240K house, costs us $2,400 to double close it. That's a pretty good rate. Some people are at 2 points, and they lend us the money for a day. They lend us the money for a day, and then we immediately, I mean like 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, flip it to the hedge fund without doing any rehab or doing anything. But yes, it does go in the actual person's name and is recorded as a cash, not conventional, cash purchase from the seller. So
that's pretty awesome.
Builds a reputation for you as somebody who's a cash buyer. So we are cash buyers, and I spend none of my own money to be a cash buyer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, 11:25. I did get one question. So people want to know what you put in your text blasts when you send them out.
That's a great question. It is in accordance to TCPA compliance. Text blasting is regulated in the United States, and it's very important that you are TCPA compliant. If you're not, you're technically breaking the law. So our text blasts, they are constantly being revamped by my virtual assistants. But in essence, they say, I noticed that your property at 123 Main Street was vacant. Would you consider selling for the right price? Or I'm an investor in X area. Would you consider an offer for this property? And sometimes at the end of them, depending on the content of the messages that you send, we have to have a message that says reply stop to end messages. So it's important that you're working with a TCPA compliant text blast system, because they will actually filter your text blast and say, hey, this message is not allowed, and they won't send it. And they say, hey, this message will be blocked by the carrier if you send it. So I can't tell you like word for word what they say because I don't know. My team is revamping them on a monthly basis. But in essence, they say, hey, I'm reaching out about this address. Would you consider an offer? And then my virtual assistant has a conversation with them.
Yeah, you're going to have to get a little creative. Certain trigger words now on text messages aren't going to work, and they're not going to go through. Sell, deal. There's certain phrases, and look, AI has gotten really smart, you guys. So if you're doing text message blasts, other people are thinking the exact same thing that you're thinking, and they're saying the exact same thing. So maybe what you could do is try to get a little bit more creative with the questions that you're asking on the text message blasts to get them to respond. Yeah.
And there are generators. So we now have, and this is something I recently learned about, we now have open AI software that will generate messages for you. So there's this software that we use in the Discord a lot, and you can type in anything you want to it. For example, create TCPA compliant text blasting messages, and it will come out with a list of them for you. Alternatively, you can use the actual text blast software to put in messages and check if they're correct. But there is software out there that will just write a list of it for you that doesn't cost any money.
Yeah, you can also use Chat GPT, right? That's another one that's part of the open AI.
Yeah.
Okay, we covered a lot, man. We covered a lot. I think you gave everybody a lot of information to absorb, and I think if some of them take and implement what it is that you've explained, they're gonna do some amazing things. I appreciate you doing that for us and taking the time for us. I think we're gonna do some crazy deals this year.
Absolutely,
both of us
man.
together with our teams.
And I know you have some people watching live right now. If they want to ask questions and turn on their mic, I'm happy to get those figured out for them.
I had to mute out the Zoom participants because we had a few funny guys, a few wise guys that were coming in. But here, I'll unmute people and see if there's anybody that wants to.
See if the chaos resumes or if they want to ask any questions.
So I just unmuted. Anybody have any questions? I'm looking on Facebook. Go ahead.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I have a question.
How can I help, man?
So you mentioned that you've done some deals in Cleveland, Atlanta, Memphis. How are you picking or choosing which markets you're targeting, or how are you determining that?
So my text blasts only target Atlanta. I think it's really, really important that you stay in one market with a population above 200,000 people. But keep in mind, my Discord group knows no bounds. So they don't have a specific market. We have deals that work for our hedge funds and creative deals, which work nationwide. And deals pop in every single day from different locations. So I've only done 2 deals in Memphis. I've done about 10 deals in Cleveland. We've done a handful of deals in Atlanta this year. And we're also doing deals in Florida and Texas. So they pop up all over. And that's because the group of people is searching all over. But me personally, I only market in Atlanta. And the reason that I market in Atlanta is because it's one of the top 5 fastest growing real estate markets in the United States.
Nice.
All right.
I have one more question. Sorry. Also, how are you going about finding the hedge funds?
Yeah, man. That's a difficult one to answer, but essentially, if you want to find your own hedge funds, you can find the hedge funds. That's not the hard part. It's getting them to respond to your emails.
Right.
So what's going to happen is you're going to send them one deal, they're going to reject the deal, and then you're going to give up because it's impossible to contact them. You need to send them 30 deals per month and then sign their NDAs, their non-disclosure agreements, so that they prioritize the deals that you send them. If you don't have the volume for 30 deals per month, doesn't matter. Join my Discord, Hold My Hand Wholesale, and we have the NDAs signed and their criteria out for you already. So I intend to bridge the gap between hedge funds and individuals like yourself who want to sell to hedge funds. And you can start today. Hold My Hand Wholesale on TikTok. Click the link in my bio.
So I'm just going to share a little bit about, because we have sold to hedge funds as well, and a lot of the buyers can be found. Just so that you guys know, you can go on LinkedIn too, and he's right. You know, you reach out to them. It's like crickets, but just from someone who had no REO or foreclosure experience during the early and mid 2000s to then going out and selling almost 400 REO and bank-owned properties in 1 year. You just have to go and you have to reach out to them and be consistent. Sending them one message isn't going to work. Sending them one deal isn't going to work. You keep following up. You keep following up. You keep following up. Richard is amazing, and there are other people like Richard. But you know, look, and me, no one bats 1,000. And so eventually you're going to get that opportunity at bat. You just got to keep talking to them on a daily basis. So if you're going to do this and you're going to try to approach the hedge funds, the shortcut is you can work with Richard. But if you're going to build your own, then you're just going to have to be consistent and you're going to reach out to them every single day. But they're on LinkedIn. A lot of people are on there. You just got to find them, reach out to them. I think we got one more new message, and then I am going to have to, how do you get access to the hedge fund trade? Okay, so Richard, you already covered this, but I think you said, how do you get access to that? They just got to join your Discord. Do you want to give it one more time? I think we lost them.
Hold My Hand Wholesale.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, it's 11:33. He gave us a lot of information. I appreciate you doing this for us, Richard. I'm going to have to cut it short too. I have a couple meetings that I have to go to. But again, everybody, if you have any more questions, feel free to post them in our Facebook group. And if you don't have that, that's dispodragons in Facebook. So just look up Dispo Dragons. You'll find our Facebook group. Join it there. And if you need to watch this video again, you can also see that video there again. All right. I'm signing off. Thanks for participating, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.